Fanny? Are you sleeping? Mm-hmm. You're a little tootsie? Little tootsies? I guess he doesn't want snuggles. Fanny. You want snuggles? Hmm? Hey everyone, welcome to the next edition of Untold Stories from the Road. If you are tuning in, it is likely because you are on my Patreon account, so thank you so much for your support. I'm here with Fanny, i.e. Fennec Fox, little foxy fella. Okay, Fanny, I'll see you later. And today we're going to talk about chapter 4 of the memoir. If you're just tuning into these, if you are a new supporter, thank you so much. And these Untold Stories from the Road are going in chronological order, where I'm working through each chapter of the book to share with you some kind of extra information or stuff that I didn't really delve into much more detail in the book itself in each of the chapters. If you have any questions, if there's more stuff you want to know, if you're suspicious about anything during the road trip, or even things that you've been watching since the road trip, because I doing these videos every other week, so eventually we'll get to post-book road trip stuff. If you have any questions, email me or leave a comment on any of these videos and I will add them to my queue of things to answer. Hi, Ness. Hey, girl. Hi, Penny. Oh, you're gonna join us out here now? Okay. Okay, Penny. Alright, so in chapter 4, I dive into the first glimpse of life on the road post Nate. And we talk about the moment when I realized that I 100% knew that I needed to be doing the road trip alone, as I had intended to do from the beginning. And we also meet someone new, someone named Ryan in the book. So when I was quickly skimming through chapter 4 and realizing that that's when everyone kind of meets Ryan, I also realized that I don't give him, I do mention him a couple other times throughout the book, but I definitely don't talk about just how extensive, how much we really got to know each other and just how big of a role he played in my departure with Nate, and we actually ended up getting really, really close. So as I talk about in the book, Ryan was a huge influence, and I met him through Facebook. I was doing my Dance a Day project. It was in January 2012, it would have been. And so that Dance a Day project was, I was dancing to a new song every day for 30 days, and I was dancing in a public location with earbuds in, and then Nate was recording them, and I was posting them to my YouTube channel and my personal Facebook page every day. And it was like a comfort zone challenge thing, or a creative challenge or something like that. So Ryan, who is mutual friends with a very good friend of mine, Jeanette, she lives in Portland, Maine. I met her in Boston. She was the first person to recommend the book Eat, Pray, Love to me, which kind of was one of the stepping stones to my realization of wanting to live nomadically and do this road trip and all that jazz. So he was very kind of integrated, before I even knew it, into what my journey would become. So he saw these Dance a Day videos and reached out to me, not like in a flirty way or not even close to anything like that. It was more just like, hey, you know, it's cool that you're doing this. I smile and laugh along with your videos, and you know, it's nice to see this kind of as a daily uplifting thing. And it kind of sparked a conversation with us that we just kept talking. And I really involved him in my distress of the situation with Nate and kind of all that was happening there. And it was because of him that I started learning more about kind of just owning my own, how do I word it? Just like owning my shit, right? Like not only that, but also kind of being more open to the idea of other ways of thinking about stuff, like you know, spirituality, manifestation, the law of attraction, things like that, and wherever you stand in that spectrum, because I feel like my opinion is always shifting around that stuff. Regardless, he really kind of introduced me to that world, and it helped me cope a lot with what I was putting on myself and projecting onto Nate and other people around me, whether it was the Nate situation or other things. So he really helped me learn a lot more about that sort of thing, and not only taking responsibility, but also understanding that we're all kind of operating in different planes, and that if we're not all on the same page at the same time, that's okay, and to not, you know, get upset with someone if they're not in your space or you're not in theirs. So even though I mention him a few more times throughout the book, I don't really talk about how close we were, and that the relationship did like kind of lean romantic, even though we didn't really spend much of any time in person together. I did see him in person twice during the road trip, I think it was. When was it? Either way, like there was never any like physical intimacy that happened between us. And to be quite frank with you and with Ryan, if he watches this, and with myself, I think I've never really admitted this or said this out loud, but I think, you know, even though our friendship was not romantic leaning in any way at first, I think I brought it there to some degree, and I don't remember exactly how that unfolded, but I think I brought it there because I was ending this thing with Nate, and in my pattern of afraid to be alone, always kind of looking to who's next, for insecurity reasons, whatever, things that I had yet to kind of discover about myself at the time, Ryan was there, and he was amazing and supportive, and he like was so such a gentleman, and just like so well spoken and well read, and was introducing me to these new ideals, and it was just like I was learning so much, and I felt so much more confident as a person, and I think I was kind of assigning that growth to him. And so that kind of coupled with my own inability to really be alone ever in my life, I think I was like pushing the, you know, toward the romantic end of things a little bit, and thankfully like it never got fully blown in that direction. I mean, it started to, it did reach a point where I know that I hurt him, because I mean, even though I might have been initiating like a romantic tone, I hadn't really admitted this to either one of us, but I wasn't necessarily interested in pursuing something like that with him. And then I had the experience with the Vermont cabin guy, the Leonidas guy, who I'm not sure which chapter I talk about with him. That experience happened, and I think that hurt Ryan. So yeah, I mean, I don't talk at all about that stuff in the book in terms of how deep our relationship got, and for me it was much more of an emotional depth and emotional connection than a physical one. Yeah, I've never really said this out loud, that you know, acknowledging that Ryan maybe could have been, well, was more than a friend at some point, though we didn't like ever have a full conversation about what that would look like or anything. And I think deep down I knew that I didn't necessarily want that with him. So yeah, it was a bit of a tough point, but he, being the amazing person that he is, I mean, I was able to share a lot of this with him, both, you know, his experience with the Leonidas guy, and, you know, we remained friends. We, you know, we continued to chat, and the relationship kind of naturally like petered out as I continued on my journeys and continued down self-growth and awareness down that way, and as he, you know, continued on with his life. And so yeah, I guess this is just a rambly way to say that Ryan, this guy, was, you know, he was a huge part of the trip early on in terms of helping me cope with and overcome the Nate situation, and just being like a good model of a stand-up gentleman, regardless of the situation, right? Like he was never forward and like he just was a good example. He is a good person. Like he demonstrated the type of personality and characteristics in someone that I would want in a partner, romantic or friendship wise. So yeah, that's kind of a bit about Ryan. I feel like, gosh, it feels like so long ago to even recall that time. And I still feel bad and think about, you know, the just maybe misdirection or anything that could have been hurtful for him, because you know, he was such a critical person for a few months there through all that. And I think I was mistaking that friendship for wanting or needing it to be more, because I don't historically I haven't historically had male people in my life who are just friends, straight male friends. So I think I was misconstruing it and bringing it in a direction that it didn't need to go. I think that, you know, it would have been fine maintaining a friendship thing, and I was pushing it there and it didn't need to be. And but anyway, we worked through it, and yeah, if he was hurting more than he let on, which I think might have been the case, then you know, that sucks. But I am definitely at fault for that one. So anyhow, that's a little tidbit about another person in the book. Maybe I will do a Q&A with him. I'm starting to do these Where Are They Now Q&As with the real people from the book, and I'm doing them through live Facebook interviews weekly that I just started last week. So be sure to check those out if you want to. I think I'm going to touch base with him and see if he would he'd want to chat on one of those, so you can meet him in person-ish. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in another 2 weeks for another edition of Untold Stories from the Road.